Thanks for joining me again. This past weekend, I attended the Friendship Picnic, a celebration of our diversity and different cultures in Montgomery County. The picnic area in Wheaton Regional Park is surrounded by a heavily Hispanic community, and in years past, many families came and joined in the celebration. This year was very different, with far fewer folks from the community joining. I was saddened by the fact that I saw almost no Latinos there, but it's not hard to understand why. Since President Trump has taken office, we've seen a decrease in participation in community events among Hispanics that comes from increased fear. A number of planned public events actually had to be canceled. This is not just limited to those who are not documented either. This country is facing a real problem of alienating Hispanics in the way it is treating all Hispanics. You can see it in the latest Supreme Court ruling that allows Trump administration to use racial profiling in arresting people in places like Los Angeles. We are making it suspicious to have the wrong skin tone, to speak with a heavy accent, to hold wrong kind of jobs, or to have the wrong last name. Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor rightfully blasted this ruling in policy, saying, quote, "We should not live in a country where the government can seize anyone who looks Latino, speaks Spanish, and appears to work a low-wage job," unquote. I agree with her completely that the seizure of anyone based on superficial reasons and expecting them to prove that they're not a criminal is wrong and goes against our constitutional guarantees, namely the Fourth Amendment. To link ethnicity alone to reasonable suspicion and call that a relevant factor in detaining someone is beyond unfair, and it's no surprise that the trust once brought Hispanics to our community events is now deteriorating. Seeing people who are actually here legally being subjected to interrogation and arrests, even if they're eventually freed, only heightens the fear in their community. This decision is particularly important because we've seen an escalation of ICE activity throughout the nation that will only increase once the agency's funding grows by leaps and bounds in the next few weeks. I know we can't stop the ICE Army, but we want the community to know that we will do everything we can to help them. This activity is bad enough, but what happens when it's even more people who will be subject to arrest? And when what started out as "let's get rid of the dangerous criminals" claim has turned out to be a cover-up for masking the deportation of Hispanics regardless of how hard they work, even if they've never committed a crime. If this matters to you, please look for opportunities to help. We should not be walking away from our friends and neighbors. And this climate of fear and intimidation being wrought by the federal government is not just targeting our Hispanic, Latino, and immigrant neighbors. They're also targeting Black communities. It was horrifying to learn this week that Trump is now proposing to remove road markers and statues and other signs that reflected our nation's cruel history of slavery. I think you have to know your history to understand where we are as a nation. It plays a vital role in helping everyone comprehend present-day societal issues. This is not about guilt-tripping people. The underpinnings of racism in this country predate any of us alive today. But what is needed is an understanding of how our past has affected something as basic as whether or not families had the opportunities to build wealth, to be economically successful, or be just free enough to go about their business without having to think about how white people feel about having them here. As a white person, I know full well that I never had to think about what someone thinks about me when I walk into a store, when I apply for a job, or speak about a subject because of the color of my skin. Imagine what it's like if you did all those things and all the while you had to be conscious about what a person might be thinking about you just because you're Black. Trump and his cronies laid out this logic pretty clearly when they said that seeing a person of color or a woman in a position of authority, that when you saw that, you just knew that they weren't there because of their merit, but they were there because of wokeness. Whitewashing our history and blinding future generations to past injustices is just wrong and ineffective. And as a former school teacher of history, this is antithetical to the purpose of education and us learning our history. This is just a new form of resurrecting Jim Crow laws in our society. It's a sad time for America, and while we can't control what the federal government is doing, Montgomery County remains committed to equity, creating opportunities, and ensuring safety, and upholding fairness and dignity for all. At a time when national policies sometimes seek to divide us, Montgomery County will continue to stand for inclusion and justice. I've been an electric vehicle owner since 2013 and have enjoyed it. How they ride so quietly, their performance, and most importantly, the savings from fuel costs. For a long time, being an EV owner came with challenges. It was something difficult with the lack of charging stations and a lack of range after a charge. But the number and power of charging stations has increased greatly under the Biden administration and with the passage of the Inflation Reduction Act. Also, today's EVs now have 200 to 300 mile ranges on a full charge. For more than a decade, we've seen the benefits of a federal EV tax credit help push sales and the number of people who have traded their traditional vehicle for a plug-in version. Those incentives have grown to $7,500 for new vehicles and $4,000 for used vehicles. But that incentive program is ending September 30th. The sunset of this program is a direct result of the Trump administration's One Big Beautiful Bill Act. It reduces the clean energy incentives that had been enhanced by the Biden's Inflation Reduction Act, and it wrecks a program that was working to change habits and create a greener future. But just as bad, whether it's EVs, solar panels, or windmills, what this nation is also doing is ceding market share of renewable energy technologies to foreign nations, especially China. You can see this in the graphic that shows global EV sales. Please note that both the light and dark blue sections are China. The green is Europe and the yellow is the United States. Divesting in federal EV program hurts our ability to gain market share, stifling clean energy solutions like EVs and windmills, and pushing gas vehicles harms domestic car companies in global markets. The rest of the world is doubling down on EVs and clean energy while the US is walking away. Because of our oil and gas companies and their disproportionate sway over political decisions in the country, the US has fallen out of sync with most of the world. The Biden administration understood that, which is why they were investing so much in renewable technologies to catch up. But now we're going backward with the Trump administration. The end of the EV tax credits is just another attack on technologies that threaten fossil fuel company profits, and it prevents American companies from being competitive in the global economic markets. In order to take advantage of EV incentives before the deadline, EV users must purchase or lease and take delivery of the vehicle before the end of September. That's right, before the end of this month. If you want an EV, those tax credits will expire after September 30th. The credit is non-refundable, meaning that it can only reduce a taxpayer's tax liability and that it won't result in a refund beyond that amount. Dealers have the best information about how to maximize the credit, so it's a good idea to talk to them directly. This change will also end the transfer credit that dealerships are allowed to offer resellers of EV vehicles. We've led the state in the switch to EVs, with 31% of Maryland's registered plug-in vehicles parked in Montgomery County. We have at least 40,000 EVs in Montgomery County. We have worked to increase EV adoption through the EV Purchasing Co-op Dealership Incentives Program and the infrastructure development funding that we have. We've been installing EV chargers in public parking garages. We've also been transforming the county's fleet to EVs by buying only zero-emission vehicles when we need to replace county sedans. I believe this is still the best way forward to help cut out our greenhouse gases, reduce emissions, and choose a sustainable way forward. I hope that those with an EV continue talking up the benefit of getting away from gas guzzlers. I know it's a change, but I don't regret that as a driver. Poolesville Green has been a big champion of EVs, and this Saturday they'll be hosting the EV event as part of Poolesville Day. It's great fun to check out the different electric vehicles. I'll be there this Saturday for Poolesville Day breakfast. I appreciate Poolesville's efforts to spread the word about EVs. I also want to mention that our own Department of Environmental Protection has been helping residents and area companies add charging stations to places like shopping centers, apartment complexes, and neighborhoods. Visit montgomerycountymd.gov/DEP and look for our sections on electric vehicle incentives and zero-emission vehicles. Montgomery County had some more good news this week on the funding front. We just secured more than $2 million in a competitive grant from the Maryland Energy Administration. Money is going to help us expand clean energy efforts, improve efficiency in county buildings, and add new electric vehicle charging stations. Projects tied to this grant money include solar canopies and EV chargers at the Shady Grove transfer station, upgrades to lighting in county facilities and parking lots, and making Holiday Park Senior Center our first net zero county facility. These projects alone will reduce electricity use by nearly 1 million kilowatt hours annually, generate more than 1,000 kilowatts of clean energy, and save the county at least $214,000 yearly in energy costs. Beyond those environmental benefits, LED light installations in county parking garages will improve safety, provide customer access to our business districts, and generate revenues that helps maintain those areas. Our continuing work to make this a greener county will reduce greenhouse gas emissions, save taxpayer dollars, and create healthier communities. And I want to thank Governor Moore, the Maryland Energy Administration, and our county departments for their collaboration on smart and creative ways to advance better energy solutions. By working together, we're showing how local government can be a leader in sustainability and bring tangible benefits back to our residents. I told you about my planned visit to Poolesville Day briefly, and I also want to mention Burtonsville Day, which is holding its annual event this Saturday. The day begins with a parade at 10 a.m. and then continues with a festival from 11 to 3 p.m., complete with live music, good food, and a packed list of vendors. Many people have already signed up online for this year's 3-on-3 community basketball tournament for kids and adults. That can be done on burtonsvilleday.org. This annual community festival has become a vehicle for celebrating East County's heritage, diversity, while also emphasizing our unity as neighbors and friends. It may be called Burtonsville Day, but that area also encompasses the community spirit of Hillendale, White Oak, Briggs Cheney, Colesville, Cloverly, and Spencerville. Over the years before I became county executive, I heard the frustration in the East County with the lack of development there. Plans are often discussed, but development never materialized. But that was before we saw any real changes. That was then. That's the old narrative. We have a different narrative today. We've made many examples of progress in East County over the last few years. We listened to the community when it called for the redevelopment of Burtonsville Crossing and helped set up what should be the largest development in the history of East County with Viva White Oak. We've made higher education a priority by helping Montgomery College expand into the East County, and we're laying a roadmap for a fourth campus there as well. Other major additions include Adventist Medical Center, a 230-room hospital, White Oak Town Center with improvements, and the Hillendale Gateway development on the intersection of New Hampshire Avenue and the Beltway. Redevelopment in East County is good for all of Montgomery County, and Saturday gives everyone a chance to celebrate these wins and come together around the Marilyn J. Praisner Community Rec Center. As respiratory illnesses begin to force people to stay home sick, I want to highlight an important move made by the Maryland Department of Health. It is now sharing a COVID-19 vaccine frequently asked questions page on maryland.gov. It will take visitors through medical guidelines for receiving an updated vaccine and different scenarios they may encounter with either a medical provider or a pharmacist. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is updating its guidance for COVID-19, which has left many people in search of answers to questions they have about this year's vaccine. Remind people to talk to their healthcare providers about their eligibility for a COVID-19 vaccine or contact our health department for more information about vaccines and immunizations. One thing you shouldn't do if you want to know about vaccines is listen to HHS Director Robert Kennedy Jr. because he really doesn't know what he's talking about, and he's making policies in a way which are truly dangerous for you. If you want to get the right information, talk to your local public health officials. We're still independent, and we don't let politics interfere with medicine. Vaccine season has already begun, and we've seen COVID-19 cases rise as more people return to school. Thankfully, many people have recovered without the need for a hospital visit. I encourage you to talk with your doctor and ask if getting a vaccine is right for you because it remains your best protection. I'd like to introduce you to someone many in the Mid-County already know well. Louisa F. Cardona was confirmed this week by the County Council and is now one of our 3 Assistant Chief Administrative Officers serving the county. Louisa is taking over the role that was vacated with the retirement of Sonia Mora. Previously, Louisa was our Regional Services Director in Wheaton, and she did incredible work in that community. She was confirmed for that position as well 4 years ago. So elevating her once this position opened up made a lot of sense. She joined me for my weekly media briefing and shared a bit about her time serving Mid-County.
Thank you to you, Mark, especially in the County Council, for your confidence and trust in the confirmation and allowing me to take on this position. It is particularly meaningful as a Latina to have this confirmation take place during Hispanic Heritage Month. And as you noted, I was previously in the Mid-County area, and I will deeply miss that community, and particularly Wheaton, which holds a very special place in my heart. Along with, I will miss this year the celebration that we usually hosted for Hispanic Heritage Month. But out of the reality that we are facing, as the county executive noted, out of intense fears within the community, as well as targeting of the communities, the decision was made to alter what we typically do and to create something that we think will be really beautiful and impactful through an Arte en Alma program. It's an initiative that we are doing. Arte y Alma stands for Art and Soul in Spanish, and it's an initiative that we're doing with Montgomery County Public Schools as well as the Wheaton Arts and Entertainment District, where we will provide $2,000 grants to elementary schools, principals around the Wheaton area in order to have cultural performances honoring Hispanic Heritage Month within their buildings, within their spaces, within the spaces that communities feel safe. This way we don't not only honor Hispanic Heritage Month, but also strengthen families and make resources that people need available to them, because we will be handing out bags with information as well as a craft. So once again, thank you. I want to close by thanking the county executive for not only his confidence in me, but his commitment to celebrating diversity and walking in solidarity with all communities during this difficult time. A very special message that resonated with me that he shared at our Hispanic Heritage small celebration with the Latino board last night was that it's one of his favorite things to be the county executive for Montgomery County, because it is a county that is not afraid of diversity and inclusion. And that really means a lot to me. So thank you.
Last week, the county honored our bonds with the African community by recognizing African Heritage Month. This celebration has been a proud tradition for 17 years, and it speaks to the strength and vibrancy of our African community. More than 63,000 Montgomery County residents were born in Africa. They are business owners, educators, scientists, and community leaders. They help make us one of the most diverse counties in the nation. African history is not a separate part from American history. I think we realize this. Too often that history has been overlooked or minimized. But we know the story of this country, its labor, its growth, and its culture, and it could not exist without the contributions of Africans and their descendants. Finally, I want to thank the Up-County community for participating in this past Monday's community conversations about the FY27 operating budget. People came in person and participated online to ask questions about the county's plans for community improvements in the Gaithersburg, Germantown, and Montgomery Village areas. Our next forum will be held from 3 to 4 p.m. on Sunday, September 28th at the Silver Spring Civic Center building at 1 Veterans Place in the Fenton Room. This budget forum will not be streamed online and will be geared toward older adults. It is being held in partnership with The Beacon. Please make plans to attend if you're interested in providing feedback about the county's next operating budget and how it pertains to older residents or your neighborhood. So that's it for now. I hope you had a great week, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I'll be back again next week for more updates. Take care of yourselves and see you soon.